Ale, we're now well past the halfway mark of the season, and I thought we should do something pretty cool to celebrate the halfway mark of the season. You know, it's not like it's a birthday or anything, but it's worth noting what's happened so far, because at the end of the day, the halfway mark of the season is typically when you can determine who's going to go where by the end of the season, but this season's a different one and we can't exactly be doing that. So instead, I've called upon plenty of P&E supporters from across the Twitter and across the YouTube scene to give me their opinions to help me out in terms of reaching a verdict on where Preston North End currently stand in the Championship, where our best performances have been, where the worst things have been, and if that playoff chance is still alive. I'll share my opinions at the end, but first, please enjoy yourself, sit back and listen to what all these lovely people have to say, and I'd like to thank them all once again for coming on and sharing their opinions.
This is my mid-season review for Preston North End and their performance so far in the 22-23 campaign. I'd say we're at 7.5 out of 10. We could be better, we could improve, but it's a good starting place for the rest of the season. We're close to the playoffs, we're in touching distance, but so are so many other teams, and there's so many tough teams in there that we have to knock out to get in. But I think, especially away form has been phenomenal, but the consistency and at home, and producing results at home hasn't been good enough. Best player so far, I think I've got to go with the central centre back in Liam Lindsay. He's been class, been very unexpected how well he's done this season, how much he's come on. Story obviously came back off loan and has turned the corner of his career, and Freddie Woodman's been solid behind them. But I think Liam Lindsay probably takes it for the best overall performer. Biggest disappointment, I don't think we've seen the best this season out of Daniel Johnson that we have done over his career at North End. I think he can still on his day be a great producer of quality, but I just don't think he's been good enough over this season so far. Would I give him a new contract? If we were to reinvest the money we spend on him every week somewhere else better, then I wouldn't give him a new contract, but I don't have the faith that we would bring someone in to replace him adequately enough. So yeah, he's probably going in as my biggest disappointment so far this season. The playoff chances are still alive, but we need to start getting results at home. We can't sit there and keep losing at home or drawing at home, especially to poor sides, if we're going to do anything regarding the playoffs. And I think that, yeah, the home form is a thing that needs to improve. We could do a right wing back as cover for Pottsville to go in ahead of him, but we can't just have one man out there and then have Brown as a backup because he's needed in the centre for me. So yeah, the home form, the club's relationship with the fans needs to improve, and hopefully we'll see that improve in the coming weeks and months. And the right wing back for me, if we're going to improve and get anywhere near the playoffs come the end of the season.
First of all, I would like to thank 8-Bit Preston for allowing me to feature on his channel, and this is my thoughts of our Preston North End's season so far. We've had a pretty mixed season, separated into basically two categories, home and away. I think we are in the relegation zone if we were to have a look at the league table based on just home games. I think we're 22nd on that. But if you were to look at the league table just based on away games this season, I think we're second place, and only Burnley is better than us on away games so far this season. So yeah, whatever we're doing away, it's working really well, and we just need to try and somehow transfer that onto our home games, which hasn't happened so far this season. Obviously we've still got quite a few more games to go, so there is time to turn that home form around. Currently in 10th place, we could perhaps make a late charge on the top 6, although with all the other quality teams around us, I do think it will be pretty tricky when you've got pretty much Burnley and Sheffield United already promoted, and then the teams like West Brom, Watford, Middlesbrough, even Blackburn Rovers, if you wanted to include them, and also the likes of Millwall and Sunderland. It is still doable, but I don't think we'll be able to do it. Just us being us, I think we'll probably miss out and finish 9th or something like that, but I'll be happy with a top 10 finish. We're not very good at passing on targets. We just hoof the ball up most of the time and hope that it lands on one of our attacking players, and hope that it doesn't get intercepted, but it never really tends to work. It has worked a few times, but obviously when it does work, you're through on goals straight away. But we need to stop relying on that and actually playing some nice football from the back, pass our way up through midfield into attack, but quickly, and that's something that we haven't been doing. As for the players that have impressed me so far this season, I'm going to start off with Robbie Brady. I feel like he is one of our best players in the team, and he's been out injured for a couple of weeks, about a month now I think, I'm not sure, but he did return for the Birmingham City game, and we've missed him a lot. Just in that spell without him, we were really poor, but so it's a massive boost now that he's back in the team, and it just shows what he brings to the team. It's everything really, is crossing accuracy, just his defensive work, attacking work. He is the perfect wing back. Of course, he can play as an attacking midfielder as well at times as a wing back. I tend to like him on the left hand side. I know he can play right wing back, but it takes, seeing that he's left footed, he always likes to cross them in with his left foot. It does take time for him to switch from his right foot to his left when he's playing on the right hand side, and we can't afford to waste that much time. As I did say, slow play, it's not helped us. We need to be fast, and Brady is really good for us down that left hand side. I've got to say Freddie Woodman as well. At times he has made a few poor saves. I wasn't happy with one of the ones, I think it was the final goal that Pukki scored in the 4-0 home defeat against Norwich City. I think Pukki had all the time in the world to take that shot, and Woodman was just stood there staring at the ball, and he should have been coming out to collect it from him. But apart from a few mistakes like that, he's been pretty good, made some good saves. I would say the defence as well. If you asked me this question at the start of the season, who would our best players be, then it would be Jordan Storey, Liam Lindsay and Andrew Hughes. But they are still pretty solid at the back. They are leaking goals though, but they're good average Championship players, so they're not bad by any means. But Jordan Storey, I suppose, and Liam Lindsay, they've impressed since last season. No one was really expected Liam Lindsay to stick around for much longer last season, and when Jordan Storey went on his loan to Sheffield Wednesday, he's come back an absolutely brilliant defender. So those two have impressed me so far. And then really the only other player is Ched Evans, the age that he is at 34 now, running around for the full 90, putting everything on the line. Scored 7 goals I think so far this season, and he's been superb for us. So hopefully our 2 new loan strikers, Cannon and Delap, can help him out and contribute with the goals as well. I feel like those two for the remainder of the season are going to be very important, and I think those two are going to impress me. But as of now, those are the only players for me. So it would be nice to make it into that top 6, even if we didn't get promoted to the Premier League. It would be disappointing, but then the excitement of finishing in that top 6, knowing you've got a semi-final, 2-legged semi-final to play, potential chance of playing at Wembley, just really exciting. And it's just the excitement, that's what we want. I certainly think we can give it a good go. January almost over with the transfer window. I would have liked to have seen another wing back come in, another right wing back. Obviously the only 3 players we could say that play there are Potts, Brown and Robbie Brady, but they are not out and out right wing backs. Potts is the main one that starts there, also switches around with Brown. As I said, they're not really their actual position, so it would have been nice to get a proper right wing back in. We were linked with one of the Barnsley guys, but it doesn't look like that we'll be getting him in, but you never know. There's still time, a week to go. Well, don't know when this video is actually going out there, but at the time of recording there is a week to go until the end of the January transfer window. So it would be nice to bring a right wing back in, someone that knows the position, that plays the position, and then it'll free up Brown for like a midfield spot instead of playing, I don't know, Ledson or Daniel Johnson, a really fast player to run up and down the right hand side that knows the wing back role, that's played it for a while. A good experienced right wing back for me is probably all that we do need to give the playoffs a good go. Thank you to 8-Bit Preston for allowing me to come on the channel, and hopefully we can do something for the remainder of the season. Come on, you Whites.
Hi, my name's Sam and this is my thoughts on the Preston season so far. I feel like so far this season we've been probably out of 5 or 6 out of 10 in terms of how well it's been going. There's been quite a few ups but quite a few downs as well. So the win at Blackburn being probably one of the biggest ups and one of the best away games I've seen. In terms of our best player this season, I think that probably has to, at the moment, be Ched Evans, just because he might not have looked good at the start of the season, but he's the sort of player that at the minute is moving everything on the pitch for us week in, week out. Saw it again at Tottenham at the weekend. that lack of belief that we can go and win the game, but you're still going nutmegging players who are at the top of the game and play in Europe. I think the biggest disappointment so far probably has to be Alan Brown because of his performances. I feel like it's inconsistent, but I feel like if he can find a good run of games, he can be one of the best midfielders in the league. As well as that, there are obviously a few other things, but standouts have to be the likes of the defenders, Liam Lindsay, Jordan Storey, Andrew Hughes, Freddie Woodman. They've all had really good seasons, and I think if we can find some clean sheets soon, then those will start to stand out strong again. I think the highest point of the season was probably that win at Blackburn. It was just the unity amongst the fans and the players and everything like that. And in terms of the playoffs, I think obviously still sitting here on deadline day, 2 points outside the playoffs. If we could get one player in tonight just to on a permanent deal, just to bolster the squad for next season as well, I'd be happy with a top half finish this season. But obviously 2 points off the playoffs, it's up for the taking. But I just think there's too many teams who could be up there at the minute. Obviously Middlesbrough finding the feet under Carrick, and Norwich looking quite good as well now, and teams like that who probably should have been there at the start of the season but weren't able to get there. So I'd probably see our playoffs chances at about 50-50. It'd need a bit of luck to slot in there, but in the last 10 games of the season, if we're still 1 or 2 points out and get on some good form, we never know what could happen. In terms of what needs improvement, I feel like the home form definitely needs to spin itself around, because my concern is that if this away form drops, given how tight the league is at the moment, we could thunder right down. But on a positive note, I feel like our away form has been good and it's built some really solid foundation. A lot of teams have struggled to play against us when we've played them away, because we just stopped them from playing the game. So if we can replicate something similar like that on a more consistent basis at home as well, it'll do well. But fingers crossed we can get what we need to get the home form back on track sooner rather than later. Just to add as well, I think we have to give credit to the manager under things that might not always be under his control, but I feel like he really is doing a good job with what he's got. As much as he's made mistakes this season, he's new to the Championship and we have to give him a chance, and he's learning just like some of the players are. And I feel like if you give him a good transfer window, next few, I'd say in the next season or two, and manage to keep him around and sign some new players, then we could have a squad that we did those years ago under Neil, which we're just missing 1 or 2 players, but hopefully we can build on that now. Thanks for listening.
Overall performance, I'd probably give us about a 5 or a 6 this season. We've not been that good. We've not been terrible, we could be worse. It's really awkward, I say. Best player I'd probably give to Lindsay. I would have said Story up until the last couple of games, but he's just not been on it these last few, so I've definitely got to give it to Lindsay. He's really stepped up. Biggest disappointment, I'm going to be honest, probably Woodburn. I really like him, but he's not that good. He showed potential, like against Blackburn, but other than that, he's done nothing. So I'd have to say Woodburn, unfortunately. I reckon we've still got a chance of playoffs, to be honest. Like, it's been an unreal season for the Championship, so I don't see why not. Anyone can, to be honest. So yeah, I think we can do it. I don't think we will, but I think we've got a chance. What needs improvement is our attacking brand that Ryan talked so much about when he came in, because we've seen nothing of it. We need to create more chances, we need to be more clinical, we just need to score. It'd be nice to score a few.
Over on the 8-bit channel, hope he's all good. Callum here, or Gilpin FC, as I'm on YouTube. And yeah, this is what I think of North End season so far. So then, who's been our best player so far this season? For me, it's a toss-up between 2 players. You got Ben Whiteman, who's the first contender, and Freddie Woodman. I'll talk to Ben Whiteman first. For me, he's the glue to our midfield. He just brings everything together. He's the glue to the whole team, in fact. He's probably one of the only leaders I can see, along with Chad Evans, that we have out on that pitch. Freddie Woodman has been amazing this season. Obviously, he got joint most clean sheets in the league with Coventry and Watford. And yeah, he's been such a good signing for us, especially getting him on the permanent as well. If I had to decide between two, I'd probably say Woodman, because some of the saves he made, you think the one at Swansea at home, that's given us the 3 points. And his all-round performance, I think, from Woodman is he's been our best player so far this season. So then our biggest disappointment so far, I think I've already touched on this, was the Blackpool away game. For me is the biggest disappointment so far, because they were there for the taking. I think it was a tight game. It was a really tight game until the point Cunningham went off injured, and then we got Diaby on. It's kind of fallen apart from thereafter. But we was in that game, and I think it's disappointing for me that we crumbled, because they were there to be beat that day. Can North End still make the playoffs? Yes, I think we can, but it's just because it's such a crazy league. I think if there was any quality teams alongside Burnley and Sheffield, I think that there would be no chance. But the fact is that everyone else keeps tripping over each other, and I think that could we sneak into the playoffs? Maybe. Will we? Oh, I don't think so. But because it's such a crazy league and everyone keeps tripping over each other, the scope that is there for us to make it into the playoffs. So then lastly, what needs improvement? It's pretty self-explanatory what needs improvement. It's our home form. Our home form is shocking. 3 wins at home all season. It's just not good enough. And if we can pick up our home form, couple that with our away form, who knows where we could end up. So yeah, that's all from me. Thank you very much for having me on this channel. Make sure you subscribe to the 8-Bit channel, because I think it is the best for North End reviews and transfer talks. So yeah, thank you very much.
In terms of rating our season so far, it's difficult because I've been on all the home games. Every home game, after kind of that first few where we were, where our goal was untouchable, we've looked far too shaky and almost afraid, certainly in the last few games, much like every other season, to go forward. But always seems to be a frustration with us. We start so well and then just refuse to go forward by January, and it's really annoying. But then I went to Blackburn, and I don't think I've ever seen us play a better game. Especially with such a bare bones squad. It's really difficult to rate our performance at the moment. I would just say, like every fan, I think, it's just too inconsistent at the moment. Best player? Oh, good question. Because we've had a lot of good players this season. Liam Lindsay's been outstanding. I think Hughesy's been outstanding. Cunningham's been outstanding when he's come in, particularly, like I say, in the Blackburn game. He was really good. Ched, again, been putting him away the last couple of games. He's looked really good. Alvaro's looked great. Brady seems to have been a revelation for us. And Woodman has been superb as well. Story has been outstanding this season. No wonder he was undroppable, and for good reason, because he's been absolutely outstanding. Potts has still been good when he's come in. Don't get me wrong. Not as good as some of the others, but he's still been great when he's played. I think Whiteman's been good. Everybody slates him, but I think he's one of our most important players. I think the last couple of games have shown that. I think a lot of people give too much hate on Ledser as well. And so far, Cannon and Delep have looked good, but that remains to be seen. Best player so far this season, again, very, very difficult to really give my honest opinion on it. I think I would probably say Woodman, just because, again, he seems to have been. I think we were always going to struggle to replace Everson, but Woodman's as good as a replacement as any. Biggest disappointment so far this season, I think it's everybody's. It is just the fact that we have not got a right wing back. Obviously, there's been frustrations off the pitch, with the owners messing us around and doing all, everything that they have done. Risdale being who he is, a complete. I don't know if you allow swearing on your channel, so I'm gonna tone it back a bit. Because on my channel, my channel called Zippy Plays Drums, yes, I'm self-promoting myself. I'm really sorry, but I had to do it. I swear a lot, but yeah, there's been enough problems off the pitch this season. The big one, I think, for every fan is just getting in that right wing back. Could have been in playoffs if we had it. That's got to be, surely. Playoff chances, absolutely. No question in my mind. Do you want to know why? Because the season, the teams this season, the league this season, the quality is awful. Currently, at the time of me recording this, we are set 2 points off 6th. So think about it like this. We are 2 points off 6th right now with all these games to go. Having lost half our games this season we have the worst home record in the league, and we're still 2 points off 6th. That should show you the gulf that's there this season. You know, if we were to have a real go at it, I think we could do it. I do. I honestly believe, playing like we do when we're playing away, we get in the right signings, we're golden. I reckon we could. I reckon it's still there for the taking. I reckon it's anybody's game this season. And there's a lot of improvement to be had, and that's from top to bottom with the club. I think that person who owns a controlling interest in the club, I can't remember her name for the life of me, but she wanted Trev to give the club up for years. She needs to get a reality check. She wants 70 million for the club. She'll be lucky to get 20. God, there's been a lot of disappointments, I feel like. You know, it does feel a bit like Lowe's kind of built us up to knock us down a bit. Not entirely his fault, I don't think, but I think he has some blame in it, because he just, I don't know, there's something about it this season, the way he's talked and the way we've actually looked when I've seen us play at home, you know, aside from a handful of games this season. Rizdale, he's been a problem for years, and I think he has to go. Just our fear of getting the ball forward and just taking a shot. The Norwich game, I was there every time. There was a number of times when I was just screaming, put your foot through the back of the ball. Brown trying to take on all comers, put your foot through it. Honestly, get your foot through the back of that ball and make it in the back of the net with force it so hard that it rips, man. Come on. It's just a case of just being a bit more brave. We need to be a bit more brave in going forward, in taking shots, you know, and then there's obviously all the backroom problems that really need improvement. You know, it's frustrating watching North End. It always has been. But it's getting to a point where I'm genuinely going to end up in a fucking hospital thanks to stress. I apologise for the swearing. Can you bleep it out, or can you cut me out saying that?
We do have some opinions here from supporters that did not want to take a video, probably to keep their face secluded from the camera, which I completely understand. It's not for everyone, but I appreciate them doing this nonetheless. Obviously, the Twitters will be on the screen and all the appropriate information and whatnot. But anyways, first supporter says, our performances have been very mediocre, just what Ledson says. We take a step forward and then take 2 steps back. The attacking football law promised isn't there, and it's becoming quite a snooze fest at Deepdale. The standout player can range from anyone from Lindsay, Woodman, Story, Brady or Ched. For me, these players have been giving it their all with this team, and seeing them in a team that's unable to score gets the fans off their seats is unfair for them. Disappointment has to be DJ so far. After a very good season last season, it looks like he doesn't want to be here. He looks lazy and doesn't know what to do half of the time. I want the playoff hopes to be alive, but the more we play like crap, the less light we see. A lot of things need improving in my opinion, mainly the attack still. We should be beating sides like Huddersfield 2-3-4-0. We also need a right wing back to strengthen the back. I like Potts, but he's too slow to keep up with most wingers. Next supporter says, with our performance so far, I can only describe it as a rollercoaster. We've had a lot of highs. The 4-1 Rovers win, 1-0 Stoke, 2-1 Reading, 3-2 Norwich. But we've also had some shambolic lows, such as 4-2 Blackpool loss, the 4-2 Millwall loss, 2-0 Stoke loss, 2-0 West Brom and 4-0 Norwich. As for our best player, there's a lot of contenders so far. You obviously have Ched Evans, who has been in magnificent form over the past couple of months. Then you have Whiteman, whose presence in this team cannot be understated as he's there to hold the structure together. You have Lindsay and Story, who are obviously amazing in that run of clean sheets at the beginning of the season, but overall I'd have to say Freddie Woodman has been our best player so far. Whilst yes, as of late he's conceded some goals that he really shouldn't be conceding at all, he has mostly played incredibly well, week in, week out, and there are some games where we would have been utterly humiliated if not for Woodman. What a player and what a signing. In terms of the biggest disappointment, there's a good few options for this unfortunately. Parrott has been very poor, whilst yes he was injured. He played very poorly in most of his games, and when was coming in had a lot of promise from being that Tottenham wonder kid, but unfortunately it just hasn't worked out too well so far. I'd also have to say that Daniel Johnson, whilst being a club veteran, has been very poor this season, with his only one good game under his belt being Blackburn away. I'd also say Bambo Diaby hasn't had the greatest of sorts, with some games looking completely sheepish in defence. However, after that Huddersfield game he has shown a lot of promise, being a player who played pretty well against Norwich when he was played in the completely wrong position. But overall I'd have to say Daniel Johnson for those previously stated reasons. Are the playoff chances still alive? 100% yes. This championship season is shaping to be one of the most competitive for a long while, and this is one of our best chances of going up. However, if the horrific home form continues, then you can kiss that chance goodbye. What needs improvement? Whilst most people will be praying for a wing-back, while I wholeheartedly agree with that, I personally believe that we need to create a balance in our midfield, or else it will be similar to the home game against Norwich, with the midfield getting absolutely rolled over and ploughed through. Thank you once again to all those incredible people. All of their Twitters or YouTubes or whatever socials are relevant were displayed on the screen while it was their section. I appreciate you all for doing it, including those who didn't share a video and instead did voice or text. Your opinions are always valid no matter which way you express them, and I'm entirely grateful for what you've done, and I hope to see you on the channel again one day soon. Right, so now it's my turn. What would I say is going down with Preston North End? Of course, I've had plenty, and I mean plenty, of opinions to share across the last couple of weeks as a PNE channel. As you all know, the growth has been phenomenal for me this year, and it's Preston North End I've got to thank for that. We of course began our Preston North End discussion before the start of the season, but since the start of the season, the channel's grown nearly 2,000 subscribers, by 40,000 views nearly enough, and I can't express my gratitude enough for that. It's down to you incredible people that have helped me get this far in terms of what I'm doing, sitting in front of a camera in my bedroom talking about the football team I so dearly love. So yes, I appreciate it all, thank you very much. But anyways, like I said, now it's my turn to express my opinions in one big compressed package. So, Preston North End. Our performance so far, well, I think a lot of fans get very twisted because in terms of where we are, it does look quite bad, mid-table, but we're always mid-table, but you just need to take one look at the points and everything else like that to just understand how close we actually are to get into the playoffs. Now, it's not something we should be thinking about, because we don't want to get too ahead of ourselves and whatnot, but at the same time, you just can't help be excited because if there's any season, it might be this season, but we're going to drop that conversation for now because, like I said, you get too excited and you get disappointed, so let's keep that on a low. But in terms of our overall performance, I'd say we're performing decently. We're at the top of the away table, but we're also at the bottom of the home table, so there's a bit of a balance there that needs to be found. But in terms of where we are points-wise, in this time of the recording, of course, we're about 14th, I think, but we're still only 4 points away from the top 6. And of course this recording comes later than a few other recordings you've seen here because this has been organised for about 2 weeks now, and I've been waiting for some people to send theirs through, and some people dropped out as well, but it's understandable, it's completely understandable, it's fine, and I apologise to everyone who took part for the wait. We just needed a few things to get sorted out as well. But anyways, yeah, that's what I think of the performance so far. It's been pretty good, but there is still a balance that needs to be found. Our best player so far, for me, it's hands down on the table, without any question, Liam Lindsay. And it's incredible for me. He's not only my biggest surprise, he's also my best player. He's probably my favourite player of the season, and he has become one of my favourite players because of this season. The lad loves the club. He wears the badge with pride, and he wants to give it his best, because over the last 2 seasons we've had him, he's been absolutely horrendous, and I called him our worst player. So in the space of 6 months to go from the worst player, my least favourite player, to my favourite player, that's one hell of an accomplishment. Because I don't know what's going on, what he's doing differently apart from maybe giving it a go. But whatever Ryan Law's been telling him and training him to do, it's been working fantastically for him, and he's become an absolute brick wall in terms of defence, and he's fantastic. Always talks with passion, always plays with passion and pride, and I'm very grateful to have him on the squad, because if we never gave him that contract extension at the end of the season, things could be looking a bit different, and I'm very glad we actually gave him a contract that lasted 3 years to begin with. But yeah, very, very happy for Liam Lindsay. Very happy, and I hope he stays for a few more years if he can carry on performing like this. My biggest disappointment in terms of players, I'd probably have to give it to one of 3, and that is either Daniel Johnson, as many people have said so far, Troy Parra, or Ben Woodburn. To give a bit of, or maybe even Reese. I don't know. Let me explain. So with Johnson, of course, we know what he's capable of, and he's just not done it this season. He knows he's an injury away, like a serious injury away, from never being able to play second league football again. And by the end of the season, I don't think we're going to renew his contract, and he probably knows that as well. So if he wants to get out and play some higher level football again, he needs to keep himself fit. Obviously, if you overcommit, you're probably going to get hurt, and a lot of our squad have been hurt for overcommitting at times. And that's probably the way he's seen it, and I don't blame him because he is aging, but he's got a few years left in him. But It's a shame to see a club veteran like that just fall off really quickly, but it is what it is, unfortunately. In terms of Parrott, of course, he's coming as this hot shot from Tottenham who's highly rated and everyone loves him. And he's only scored 1 goal in the league, and after scoring that goal, he's been out for 3 months from celebrating. It's crazy. It's one of those funny stories, you know, you bring Spurs and you win nothing. He brings the Spurs look with him, but it is what it is with Parrott, unfortunately. But in terms of who else did I just say then? Parrott, Johnson, and Woodburn, sorry. Yeah, well, with Woodburn, he just carries the ball. I understand that everyone likes Woodburn, and I do like him as well. He's a good lad, but at the same time, he doesn't really do much. He just carries the ball forward, and anyone can do that. I can carry the ball forward, but it's in terms of what you do after you've carried it. Are you going to make that clever pass? Are you going to finish it? He doesn't either. He just runs with the ball, and if that's all he's there for, you're basically useless at that point. Anyone can do that, so that's why he's let me down. And Reece as well, of course. He scored 5 goals, which compared to last season is nothing, but it's still very valuable 5 goals. But for the time he was on the pitch without scoring, he didn't look great at all. He didn't really move the ball. He never gets his head on the ball. He's very reluctant to pass the ball. Receiving it can be dodgy as well. And his finishing also, he's very reluctant to shoot at times. And then he gets this injury that keeps him out for all season. So it's a shame for him, but at the same time, it also opens up our striking option a lot more with these new boys. So it's kind of a blessing in disguise. No disrespect to Reece, of course, but it is what it is. Our playoff chances are live, yes, and I've been saying it for the last 7 weeks. Yes, we can of course make it, and I'm going to leave it there because it's just look at the numbers. We can make it. And what needs improvement? Well, the home form to begin with, because it's horrendous. Sorry, Mike. The home form to begin with. Of course, Ridsdale's communication with us. I'm not saying Ridsdale is a wholehearted problem and he brings the club down to turmoil and he kills it, because he doesn't. Let's be honest, Ridsdale does do some good things for us, but at the same time, his communication is very, very lacking. So I'm going to actually condense that point from Ridsdale to the communication. There needs to be more open communication. We have had a club update in recent days saying about the new kit supplier, which I'm most excited for because you know me in football kits, I fucking love collecting them. But then we've also got news on the new fan zone and all these other things, and while that's nice to hear, it's not exactly relevant to what we care about, which is getting to the Premier League. That's what we want to do. We want to get promoted, and it's not relevant. Having a fan zone for fans to scream their frustration at a pint of Stella, it's not going to help us get to the Premier League, is it? Yeah, it's going to give us revenue, but that's about it. But even then, still, the fan zone could flop, and it could be a waste of money. So the communication needs improving. That's all I'd really say in that front. So the home form of the communication, as well as maybe just trying to experiment a little bit more with formation, because the most recent home match from the recording of this video was our home game against Bristol, where we lost 2-1. However, we looked like the better side during that match. We played a 3-4-3 as far as I'm aware, and we looked pretty solid in terms of attacking football. We had 17 shots all game with 6 on target. That's the most we've had all season, I believe, aside from that Norwich game. So yeah, more of that stuff. Just don't be afraid to step out of your comfort zone. That's a Ryan Law problem, not a club problem, but you got to make those experiments sometimes, and I think it's really going to be worth it if we can make that change. But yeah, no, that's what I think so far. Overall, I think we haven't actually been terrible. We just have a couple of grey areas that need patching up, but if we can patch up those grey areas, we'll be in a good place. However, when we're in that good place and we do go up, if we go up, sorry, are we going to stay up? Probably not. But hey, at least we can say we got there. We can finally throw that back at Blackpool. But yeah, that's another disappointment as well. Blackpool away that we lost. So hopefully we can rectify that back in April. But anyways, thanks a ton everyone for doing all this for me. I appreciate it. Like I said, everyone's displays, everyone's users and stuff were displayed on the screen when they were talking, and they will also be in the description as well. So make sure you go follow and subscribe to all these lovely people if they have that option available. So yeah, thanks all for watching, and thank you all for your participation as well. I appreciate it very much, and I hope to do it again one time in the future. Let's get some more collaborations going on. I love it. I love to feature on other people's channels as well if that's ever an option, and if you ever want to feature back on mine, please feel free to ask me. Or if anyone else out there wants to feature, if I have any other video ideas coming up that I need a feature for, keep your eyes peeled on my Twitter. I'll display mine now. Keep your eyes peeled on my Twitter and I'll let you know. But thank you all very much once again, and I shall see you soon.